Yeah, on the show next, we've got Kyle Ryde, obviously also now signed for OMG. Kyle, you're looking a bit lost.
I'm literally walking in the street right now.
Where have you come from?
I've come from trying to pick up some leathers.
Okay.
That I need for Friday, and UPS have completely messed the whole job up.
Okay.
So somebody was kindly giving me a lift, and I've actually got out of the car to speak to you. It was a lastminute.com, and I completely forgot, and Alex just messaged me, and so I'm here now on FaceTime.
Oh, well, thanks a lot for going out of your way to stand in the cold to talk to us.
No, it's perfectly fine.
Well, let's get down to business then. First off, how was? I mean, obviously you've had a bit of experience on a superbike before this year, but this being your first full year, proper year in the class. First off, how was it?
I really enjoyed it, to be honest, and I think I surprised myself. I'm not sure about anyone else, but I surprised myself, and I was really happy with the work I did. It was a little bit unfortunate at some races with the bike, misfortunes. So I think quite annoying, really, because it made Silverstone look like a bit of flash in the pan. But I think if some of the times where the bike broke down, I could have got a podium, so it would have made Silverstone not look as much like a flash in the pan. But yeah, I enjoyed the whole year, really. I think I worked well with the team. I worked well with the bike. It just... shame nothing more come to it, but I thought I had a better deal where I'm going next year and the year after. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and of course now signing for a 2-year deal on the new BMW. What's your approach moving to the new bike?
I'm a little bit nervous, obviously, because I've only had 1 year in the Superbike class, and most people normally tend to stay with the same team. So I'm a little bit nervous, but I'm full of confidence. I've been speaking to Ray Stringer, who's my crew chief for the next 2 years, and he reckons that the bike turns and the chassis wise is just as good as the Suzuki. So that's boosted my confidence a bit. And I'm going to Portugal on Friday, so I've got 3 days there to get used to the bike and the team. So I'm pretty confident. A bit of weight off my shoulders, being a 2-year deal as well. So I'm happy.
So is that at Portimao you're doing your first test then?
Yes. So we're flying out Friday and I'm riding Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So hopefully the weather's all right and I can get used to my bike and my new team.
And your first contact with it, what's your sort of your aims going into? What are you thinking when you're first sort of starting out on a new project?
I mean, it's pretty hard. I think it was very hard on the Suzuki to get going. I think once it clicked, it felt quite easy to be quite fast. But in the Superbike class, it's very hard to find little bits, and it's quite easy to be quite fast. But to get that little bit more out of it's completely a different ball game whatsoever. So, I mean, first approach, it's so hard. I've got loads of different things to try. Obviously, it's a new bike. The engine's going to be completely different. The new bike's got wings on it, so that's something completely different. And I've never rode a superbike around Portimao before, so I think it's just going to be mainly enjoying it for 3 days and seeing what we can get out of it.
No, of course that makes sense, and obviously now with you having that 1 year of experience under your belt, it'll help you going into that and trying that out. But I'm going to move back, a little bit, because obviously you've been back in BSB for a few years now, but you spent a bit of time out in World Supersport. What was that like?
Very difficult, obviously, as many English people know. If anyone knows, anyone around the world Supersport's very hard, and I've just really struggled with the Kawasaki, if I'm honest. I just always got to a certain pace and I was just stuck at that. And any faster I went, I seemed to crash. And as you've seen from last year, I only crashed once, and that was trying to ride round the outside of a British champion last year. So it was pretty stupid of me, but that's the only time that I really crashed last year. So I think I crashed over 5 or 6 times that year on the Supersport bike. So it was difficult. I really enjoyed the experience, and I think if I had not done that, it wouldn't have made me the rider I am now. So, it was a very good experience. Not many people can say they've been in World Supersport for 2 years and teammates with Keenan Softwoglu. So I'm glad we did it. It's definitely made me the rider I am now.
Yeah, of course, because I mean, you did that. You came into it. You did that wild card on the Yamaha and put it on the podium, and which was extremely impressive. So what was it? What was the difference then, moving from the Yamaha to the Kawasaki?
Main differences was it feels a little bit like what the situation is with Johnny Ray right now. I don't think if any rider jumped on his bike, they would be able to do what he can do. Because he's done what he can do, they've almost developed the bike around him. Same as Marc Marquez, obviously the Honda's been developed around him, and no one really can do what he can do. And I think the Kawasaki is a little bit the same. Even like you're seeing, Lucas Mahias won the championship on an R6, and then even though he just about got going last year at some races, he couldn't do what he did on the R6. So I think some of it's riding style. I do think the Kawasaki is capable of winning the championship, as Sofoglu's demonstrated. But for some riders, especially like me, being fast and flowing and hanging off the bike and not so much braking hard, I really struggled with it. And especially being in a foreign team, Italian team, I didn't really get on with the language barrier and stuff, and it just never really clicked, really. So a couple of good weekends, but most of the time it was a struggle.
And then what was it like then, moving back into the UK?
Moving back into the UK was obviously a big decision, but it was one of them that I had to do. We couldn't afford to do what we did out there. For people that wanted to know, it did cost $100,000 to be Keenan Sofoglu's teammate. And
we've been speaking the last couple of weeks about how expensive it is to be in World Supersport now, and it's impossible to have a free ride whoever you are in World Supersport now.
Yeah, that's basically it. Even there's some news come out today about Tommy Agata riding for 10 Karte, so everyone thinks, bloody hell, he's got a good ride, but there's no shadow of a doubt he's paying $250,000 at least.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was tough. And 2017, that was the deal. We started and riding England in 2018. We were still actually paying off the debt for 2017, so it was not a nice experience. Family wasn't happy with it. And after that, I told myself if it was ever going to come to that ever again, then I'd stop racing.
Yeah,
and how much of that then comes from sponsors? Because obviously, I mean, I don't know what your sort of experience of it was like, but because I spent a year in World Supersport 300, and I found that it was actually more difficult to get sponsors, UK British sponsors, to sponsor you out in World Championships than it was to get them to sponsor you in BSB.
Yeah, I mean, I've raced in obviously England since I was 5 or 6. So you develop sponsors, and I've had a couple that have been with me since I was 6 years old. And even those people that are like family to you, they didn't really want to help out going abroad. And it's just because they can't come and watch you. They can't see it at the weekends. And it's not because they don't want to support you. They almost enjoy being there with the rider because they like family. And like you said, it's almost like you've got to dish out to a completely different set of sponsors. If you've got 10 sponsors that sponsor you for Supersport in England, you've almost got to find 10 different ones to go to World Supersport. So yeah, like most motorbike racers know, especially in these conditions with the virus and stuff now, it's almost impossible to get new sponsors. Yeah,
no, for sure. And but now looking, towards next year, you've signed your 2-year deal. Obviously, I mean, you've been sort of jumping around on between bikes for a little bit. What's it like now to have that, to know that now you're going to be consistently on the same bike with the same team for the next 2 years?
Yeah, it's a completely different experience for me because it's never happened. It's always one of them times where mum and dad are remortgaging the house in March, and everything's stressful. And it's one of them times where before Christmas I've got a deal signed up for the next 2 years, so it all feels pretty strange, but I'm sure it's only going to make my life a little bit easier and hopefully make me a bit of a happy rider and more of a fast rider, I hope.
No, for sure. And obviously now, at the moment, you're not really seeing many 2-year deals signed in BSB. So what was it that sort of brought that approach about?
I think the OMG team are really keen to work with me for not just 2 years, but maybe a bit more. I don't know their plans for the future, but I'm sure they'll want to expand. I don't know. For me, at this minute, it's really nice to have a 2-year deal in BSB. I don't want to be changing teams every year. I just want to stick with one really and build on that. So yeah, like I said, I snapped at it straight away when it was a 2-year deal, because it doesn't come very often. And yeah, it's nice to, obviously, there's going to be a few tracks where I get on well, but there's going to be a couple where I struggle. So it'd be nice for the second year to understand where you struggled to make it better. So you're going to get better every year, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. And in terms of a long-term plan, are you looking to sort of stick around in BSB for a while, or is there any intentions to try and make it out over into World Superbike or Moto2?
Yeah, I knew you was going to ask that question at some point, and obviously we've all watched Jake this year in Moto, and how amazing he's been. And yeah, for the riders like me, for riders like Bradley Ray that are the same age as Jake, we personally think we could do similar things. We just never really got the chance, and I'm so glad for Jake that he's got the chance, because it shows that there is some English kids our age that can mix it with Moto2 boys. We just need a little bit of a breakthrough, and you never know what could happen. So yeah, my plan is very open to anything. If somebody offered me a Moto2 ride in 2 years' time, I think I would probably take it.
And what about you, Sean? You offered you a ride with BMW in World Superbikes?
Yeah, so that's another thing. That's another reason why I left Suzuki, because there's no path to World Superbikes, and there was no new bike coming out for Suzuki, and there's a new bike for BMW. So yeah, you never know what could happen. You could be the fastest BMW rider for the next 2 years, and you could get a path into World Superbike. So that's where I was at, really.
So yeah, so it's definitely something you'd consider, along with like a Moto2 ride. Would you definitely consider it if Sean Muir came and offered you a deal and said, listen, come and do this for a year or so, and maybe do it the way that Cal Crutchlow went, doing Superbikes and then across to MotoGP? Yeah,
I mean, I don't feel it sometimes on a wake up, but I'm still quite young. So yeah, that's the plan. Anyway, to MotoGP, every young rider will take it. So I mean, at the minute, I feel like I've got a better chance with what I'm doing now to get into the world stage again than I have where I would have been with Suzuki. So yeah, I don't know my path. I don't know what I want to do. I always wanted to go World Championship, but both times it's not really worked out. So if I get a chance next and call it third time lucky.
Sorry, can I just...
Go on, Michael, you carry on. You're the one chatting.
Kyle knows my thoughts through his family, and I followed his career forever when I was in BSB and whatnot. He's one of the best riders I've ever seen. The talent that this little dickhead has, this rider has, is amazing. When you can see what he can do with a bike, it's ridiculous. Honestly, for someone that knows what they're looking at, just because I can't ride very fast, it doesn't mean I don't know what I'm seeing. And he's one of the best natural talents I've ever seen on a motorcycle. And I wanted him to go all the way. And then I think it was last year on Facebook, he kind of put a post underneath. He went, "Hey, you used to be my hero. Now I just think you're a knobhead." And since then, all I've thought about doing is leaping on his mother, splitting him his mother and father up, and becoming his stepdad, just so I can beat him. But no, I think whichever direction you go, Kyle, I think you have got the makings of a world stage rider, and you're one of our talents, whether it be World Superbikes and winning that and taking over the mantle from Johnny Ray, or going to Moto2 and taking over from where Jake leaves, because Jake is probably going to end up in MotoGP for at least a couple of seasons. So I do wish you the best of luck on that, mate.
No, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'll carry on now. The Silverstone race win, Kyle. You shoot on that slowdown lap. You show a lot of emotion, and you touched on it earlier. Is that down to what you said, what you've put your parents through and what you've been through? And did it feel like a massive weight off your shoulders that finally, it's getting somewhere now? Yeah, that's it. It was almost like it wasn't so much winning the race. It was almost like, you know what, that's to everybody that never thought. Stuck by you. Yeah, that's to everyone. And it was weird because I didn't really notice that there was no crowd. I didn't look for a crowd. I just emotionally got upset for my sakes, because I've had a couple of rubbish years, and yeah, I felt like it all come together at the right time after a couple of misfortunes at Snetterton and Donington when we could have got a podium. It all come together nicely there, and yeah,
I was ecstatic for half a lap. Then the rest I was crying. And
no, it was great to see that emotion. It's good to see people do that, to be honest with you, because it shows you don't take it for granted, and that you have worked really hard for it.
Yeah, and I couldn't wait. I couldn't wait to get back to see my mum and dad. They was at the top of the list. I just wanted to see what they was like. So yeah, it was a very nice weekend. The whole family, the whole village, and everything. We had a big party when we got back.
Yeah, don't say that too loud.
Oh, I'm not bothered about that. The local pub got loads of champagne in and stuff, and it was a brilliant night. So yeah, it's nice to know that it's not just my mum and dad that put sacrifice. It's all the village and everything. So yeah, it's one big family.
Also, obviously last year on the Suzuki, there was a lot of misfortune. You had a lot of DNFs. Was it down to one problem with the bike, or was it just different areas that the bike was just letting you down?
It was all, I mean, 2 or 3 of the issues was basically down to just bad luck. I mean, a couple of times Taz McKenzie blown up, and mine literally did the same thing at Donington. The first race, we probably should have had different radiators on that we did get sorted for halfway through the year, which means we didn't have a shield on, so a stone flicked up and went through the radiator, so the temperature through the roof. So it was just a bit of bad luck that made it look bad on TV and made the team look worse than what it actually is, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I will never slate the Suzuki team. They was the people that picked me up when nobody else did, so I respect them for that. Yeah, and it was just a shame. It made them look a little bit worse than what it actually was, because it was just a bit of bad luck. And sorry. Yeah, and you still hear me?
Yeah, just can still hear you.
Yeah, it was just bad luck, and then it was just a shame that every time I was either leading a race or at Snetterton where I felt comfortable, something just happened, and yeah, it was a shame. It never happened when I was in 12th or 15th or something. It was always when I was in the top three. Sorry. So yeah.
Well, at least it didn't help. At least it didn't happen when you were winning that Silverstone race. That was the main thing.
Yeah, that's it. It was leaving at Silverstone in the first race when I was lining Brooks up. The front fairing snapped and the front fairing hanging down, and I thought, for God's sake, not again. Luckily it held together. My helmet was flapping about for 4 laps because it couldn't get tucked in.
Sweet. Also, why are you out getting levers on a Friday night? Are you riding somewhere at the weekend?
Well, I've got 40 miles. But this should have been turning up today. They spent a massive £200 Vercos did to get them delivered today, and UPS have knackered them up. So I'm out doing some digging. I need to pack my bag and everything tomorrow, so I need to make sure they're there, because I can't be racing round Portimao for a new team on a BMW with Suzuki leathers on.
No, or you're going to have to start unstitching the Suzuki logos.
I have to find a new job.
All right, cheers. I don't think anyone else got any questions, have we?
No, I think we're good, and I think that's all we've got time for from Carl. So, Carl, thanks a lot for coming on and talking to us and standing out in the cold, listening to us blabber on.
No, don't worry, my hands are freezing.
Well, we'll let you get back into the warm then. Thanks a lot for coming on.
No worries.
Cheers, Kyle.
See you later.